Guys, welcome back to the channel. On the last episode, we worked on this dry sump tank, and on this episode, we are working on all of the piping. So you can't see it under there, but we went ahead and built a long hard piping manifold and started working on this dry sump plumbing. So I'm going to show you guys sort of everything that I got going, how it got fit up, and how to make this used NASCAR stuff work for you affordably. So let's get going. Okay, so I got the supply line cut and welded the end on. What I'm going to do now, I'll measure the return lines, and I'm going to get that one out. That one's not going to get an AN on the end. It's going to get a cap for the end, and then we're going to run two 1.25 inch lines off of it, kind of like a little manifold. So I'm going to get started on that. Excuse the noise, it's getting hot out, so the air conditioning has to go on. So I got this ported out a little bit here, so these are going to go on like so. This one goes like this, and this one goes like this. So there's going to be about a 2-inch gap, or about 1.5 inch gap between them, so we can get some weld in there, and that will work. So I'm going to go ahead, clean this up, get it ready for welding, and I got to get all the loose burrs off the inside just so they don't break off you know, after the fact when we're running the truck. So gonna get that all cleaned up, and let's buzz it in. Okay, so currently this stuff's just laying in here, but this is the -16 supply line which runs out, and we'll straighten that up a little bit. And then this guy right there on the top of the screen, that is our dual -12s that go into a manifold there, out 45s, and then they come around and connect into here, nice and square, to these lines, and they come up into our 45. So I just need to 3D print some spacers here, probably out of polycarbonate, so they can handle the temperature, and then make some mounts so this piping is nice in this free space and none of the tubing is touching anything. But I think I can get nice, if I do this right, I can print some spacers and get this nice and parallel. Just might have to scooch this one back a little bit. Yeah, somewhere about there. Should be able to get nice parallel feeds. Okay guys, so off camera here, I got the plasma cutter fired up. It is hot in the garage. I think it's like 90 degrees out. And I cut out some of these brackets. These are gonna be the tube risers that hold the tubes to the frame. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean up all the slag and stuff from the plasma cutting, dress them, and then I'm going to get them welded up. So let's get started. Okay, so we got those all buzzed up. Now I went ahead and got underneath the truck and sort of laid these out, and I'm gonna go ahead and tight the tubes in. So this is just gonna go like so, and that's gonna mount up against the frame rail, and then that holds the tubes up to the right height. So I'm gonna go ahead, get started. Hopefully we can get this burned in here quick. Okay, so we're under the truck looking at the back, and you can see everything fits in here pretty nice. Fits all the way forward. So I went ahead and marked where I want the other mount to go, right there, and we're gonna go ahead and weld that guy in. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the way this is looking. It's nice and tucked up in there, and should work pretty good. Okay, so we got the second mount on here, so you can see how it's tucked in there. And then what I started to do is I started to cut up some mandrel bends. These are from JDM Tube. Pretty good stuff. They're definitely the most affordable bends I could find for aluminum in this size. So the only thing is, I was an idiot, and I knew I was going to be cutting these up. So I ordered 90s, and they sell 180s. And the 180s are like $2 more. So I don't know what I was thinking. I should have just bought 180s. I would have had a lot more bends for the money. And I'm short 145 for both. So this is how it's going to tuck down in. Remember, we have the wheel here. So when this turns inward, the rear tire gets close here. So I can't have the pipes coming out double wide. So they need to transition down flat to each other. And then this is going to kick in here, maybe 45, maybe a little tighter, maybe like a 60-degree bend inward, maybe even a 90, I don't know. And then we're going to run soft line from here to the pump, which is right over there. So it's going to go up underneath the pan and then soft lines up in the front. So this will be nice and tucked. And I'm pretty much, I like this shape, the way that everything's coming down. So pretty happy with that. Okay, so we've got the two little squiggly doos welded up. So this is going to tuck in like this, and this one's going to, bring the tube down beside it. So next up, I got to get. I'm going to wait just till I get the other tubing to make the 45, and then we can finish this up and then weld on the ends on the end. Okay, so that's all done. Over lunch, real quick, I welded this up into the main tubes and got this all tied in. I had a little strap brace just to tie those tubes together so they have a little extra support. Waiting, I think the other tubes are going to be kicked out that way, and those should show up, I think, sometime this week. In the meantime, what we're going to start working on next is the pickup tube, which is stainless. And we're going to take this tube here, kick it down that direction, and pass it back that way so I can run a straight shot of tubing to it. And I think I'm going to use a -16 stainless because it fits pretty well. And this is some of the tubing that was left over from the original dry sump system. A lot of nice Wiggin stuff that we're going to cut up. So I'm going to use it for the bends, set up the purge, and we're going to purge all this and weld it up.
Perfect.
Okay guys, so this is the final pickup tube. We got a couple of bends, and really I'd prefer not to have this much, bend and pressure drop through the system, but this is a pretty big pipe. It is a -16 all the way through. So these pressure drops through here are going to be pretty minimal, especially at the oil flows that we're talking about. So I have the purge line hooked up to my dual regulator, and we have probably about 6 or 7 CFM. And I'm going to do the first couple welds with no bleeder down here. I'm going to have the cap on just to protect this AN. But when we get close to start sealing off the welds, I'm going to crack this open and make sure that we have some flow on this end so we don't, blow out any welds. So I'm going to go ahead and get welding, and we'll get this all tigged up. Okay, it's not bad. You can see how that wraps in there, comes around to the side, and then comes out underneath. And it just clears this pipe here. I have just the end on it, and that'll come down. And then I'm probably actually gonna run a 45. I have a straight on here right now, but I'll get a 45 and kick it this direction. And then we'll run a straight end on the aluminum tube to pick up the oil from. So I'll just get a little bit of isolation. We'll use a soft line there. Next up, I need to order an elbow for the scavenge, so that's on its way. I got the tubes here to finish these off, these 45s. So I'm gonna cut them out of these 180 U-bends and get that finished up. So let's get going. So that was a close one. I measured everything and checked it with these hoses, the BMRS hoses, and I didn't realize that how much thicker these collet style ones are, these push-on style. So it's gonna fit, it's gonna work, but when I was like, got done welding, I was like, those look pretty close. Okay, so that's all done. And I'm waiting on some elbows for the scavenge return line. So what I'm gonna move on to next is the supply, which is this guy. And right now I just have an AN hose there, and the reason that is because I was starting to lay out the rest of the components and seeing how I was gonna make do with the hoses that I have. So what I did was I ran the oil filter over against this wall here. You can see that, and I need to make like a little mount there. I just have it clamped on right now with some clamps. And then the oil cooler thermostat is down here. So what that allows me to do is the supply will come out of here, go to the thermostat right there, into that guy. The thermostat will then either send oil directly to the oil filter into the engine, or it'll bypass it and it'll come out this side, right here, up under there, and we'll run hoses back to an oil cooler that's gonna be tucked up in there. The oil cooler we're gonna run a water-cooled oil cooler off the engine coolant loop, and that will allow us to heat it up quick and get it up to temp. And then just wanted to show you how perfectly this spot worked out. So that's the clean oil that comes out, and you can see, if you're familiar, there's a little port back here. This is where your feed is for your dry sump, and we're gonna have a little fitting there, and that comes right like that. And that is probably about 2.5, 3 inches long, so that's perfect. That's gonna line up awesome with all the hoses that we have. Luckily, we didn't buy any hoses that we could not use, so that is good. And yeah, it looks like this is actually gonna be pretty serviceable, and you know, all the hoses work. So that is the orientation that I'm gonna cut that Wiggins clamp off of. I'm gonna cut that Wiggins clamp off and reorient it so that when I weld the A end fitting on, it's gonna go in correctly, so that, you know, it lines up. So let's get started on that. I'm gonna cut that guy off and weld it up. Okay, so I got this guy pulled out, welded up. It's actually poke yoked, which if you know what that means, it can't only go in one way. So they all set the holes so it only goes one way. So I got it mounted up, so it'll go like this, and we'll connect that hose. What I'm gonna do next, I'm just gonna bust out a quick bracket on that off camera, and then I'll show you guys what everything looks like when it's all put together. And I think we'll end the episode off there. So these tubes are gonna take a little bit to come back in, so it'll be like a week or two, so I don't wanna hang you guys up for one elbow, but we'll finish that up before the next episode. And yeah, give me a minute here. I'll put this all together and we'll see what she looks like here at the end. Okay, just got a little bracket here, cut out on the bandsaw there, and then now a bunch of scrap. And just gonna TIG this up so it's a little bit more bracing, and this should be done. So let's TIG it up. Okay guys, so I got that bracket made up and it's looking pretty good. All the mounting's looking nice. So I think we have some good clearance and everything's gonna fit up well. So this is gonna end off this episode. I'm gonna finish that little part down there that I mentioned as soon as those elbows come in, but that's gonna be it for this guy. So in the next episode, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna start working on the oil cooler, get that ready to go, and finish up the piping. Need to finish up some brackets and stuff like that. Then we need to get these scavenge lines actually routed and hooked up to the oil pan. So that's gonna be fun, because it's a little tight through there, so we'll have to get creative. But overall, I'm liking this dry sump system. Again, this was good bang for the buck, all this used NASCAR stuff. And just have to use a little bit of ingenuity to make it all fit, and not spend a fortune on AN hoses and all that fun stuff. So that's gonna be it. Have a good one, guys. Take care.